Your wife is actually simple. That's an overstatement, of course. However, you need to know that she's not as complicated as she seems. She's just wonderfully different than you. Those differences between you and your wife are both your greatest blessing and your greatest challenge, starting with how she processes and thinks about love. When you do something that doesn't make sense to her, she believes you're wrong. When she does something that doesn't make sense to you, you give up. Hello, I'm Dr. Debbie, and I've been helping men, women, and couples grow together for more than 25 years. Now it's your turn to learn what I learned and taught as a couples counselor and university professor. You are the wise woman, and this is your personal development podcast packed with instant encouragement and practical tips. And men can learn about women too, because this is a safe place where women are valued and men are respected. We talk about biology, socialization, behavior, emotions, communication, and connection, because men and women are different. Always have been, always will be, and that's a very good thing. Now, she believes you're wrong mostly because she doesn't know what you're thinking, or if you even are thinking. As an internal processor, you rarely talk about what's going on in your mind. And sometimes you're not thinking about anything at all, a feat which she's actually incapable of achieving. Her mind never shuts off. Just so you know, it's probably a running to-do list. Because she's less able to defend herself physically, she has to keep an ever-watchful eye on her surroundings. She's always thinking ahead, thinking about possible problems and how to solve them, which makes it difficult for her to slow down and enjoy the moment. Yes, she worries all the time. In my generation, wives only worried about who had the cleanest house, the best behaved children, and the most attentive husband. Nowadays, if she has small children, she has to watch out for something known as mom shaming, a more critical version of the comparison game wherein moms pick on other moms in a constant spiral of one-upmanship. Yes, it's a real thing, and it can be vicious. I don't know which is worse for a husband, having a wife on the receiving end of mom-shaming, or having a wife who effectively stomps on her friends by her own claims of superiority. Indeed, a lot of what she worries about falls in the category of comparing herself to other women. By her standards, she's falling short. However, she may not be fully aware that she's in constant competition with her friends, as well as her enemies. But if you try to tell her that she shouldn't worry about what other people think, she'll feel like you don't understand the full impact of peer pressure on her sense of self, which you don't, of course. She can't just turn it off. Her emotional safety, her place in the community, depends on getting it right. This way of life is even more exhausting for her than it is for you, believe it or not. And it increases exponentially if she has an additional career outside the home. Because she carries the same strategy with her wherever she goes, just like you carry yours. Men make this mistake all the time. You believe she should use your strategies for dealing with life because they work for you. But they'll never work for her, even if she's willing to give them a try. Just as when you try to use your work strategies at home, they fail more often than they succeed, don't they? Very different people with very different challenges need very different strategies. So, what role do you play when she won't take your advice? You get to choose the role you play. A victim avoids, that is, he moves away from a challenge. A villain attacks, he moves against a challenge. And a hero approaches, he moves toward a challenge. Option number 1, you ignore her. You're tired of listening to her go on, and you secretly wish she'd just stop talking. But she's never taken your advice, so you just give up. You avoid her as much as you can, and you certainly don't want to engage in a conversation, but you still hope that she'll be in the mood for sex at the end of the evening. You've accepted the real possibility of rejection in that department too. If this is what you do, you are the victim in the story. Option 2, you get on her case. You tell her to stop complaining. She's bringing it all on herself by not taking your advice. You point out her faults. primarily how weak she is, and you point out that her feelings are always hurt. Or you side with her critics and confirm all the faults she fears she has. You tell her to listen to their feedback and shape up. If this is what you do, you are the villain in the story. Option 3. You understand that she's not a man and take a different approach. You take time to listen to her story. If she approaches you when you really don't have the energy, you tell her you want to give her your undivided attention and let her know when you'll be available. For example, at 3 p.m. or after dinner. Women tend to talk in paragraphs, and you're going to need to slow her down so you don't get lost. Just say, "Hold on a second. I want to make sure I understand. You're saying blank. Did I get that right?" As you listen to her story, you think about what she might be feeling. You say, "It sounds like you're feeling blank. Is that right?" You can use my downloadable cheat sheet to expand your vocabulary of feeling words. I'll put the link below. If this is what you do, you are the hero in the story. Remember, practice makes perfect. The solutions are usually simple, but not always easy or obvious. You probably won't get it right the first time, but like anything else, you'll get better at the skill the more you use it. There's good news for you both in this. In contrast to your previous predictions, she'll probably spend less time talking. Women repeat themselves because they don't think their husbands are listening, and you're fixing that. Women give more examples because they don't think their husbands understand, and you're fixing that. Women get more emotional because they don't think their husbands know how they feel. You're fixing that too. Your wife will think she has the best, most attentive husband ever, and that will play out for you in innumerable ways. How would you like more affection, more admiration, more appreciation? Give it a try, and if you have any questions, let me know. Remember, I'm here to help. Thank you for listening to this episode of A Wise Woman's Guide to Men and Marriage. What did you think? Did the information raise more questions? Do you want to learn more? Head over to A Wise Woman's Guide for show notes and links to the resources mentioned in this episode at awisewomansguide.com.